Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle and today we're going to talk about something that has very varied and various opinions. And this is something that most people either have very strong opinions about or choose not to speak their opinions, but I'm in the mood of speaking my opinion, so let's go ahead and jump into my opinion this week. Thank you guys for supporting me with my last video, sharing my true feelings. So today I'm gonna share more of my true feelings. So what am I getting at? Also, why am I moving around so much? Because I'm hyper, because I'm always hyper. All right, what am I getting at? What is this opinion? Let me try not moving my water while I'm trying to speak. Let me try taking a sip real fast. So what am I talking about? What am I on about? Well, you probably saw the title of this video or the thumbnail, which I'm sure I clickbaited the crap out of you into watching this. If I didn't, give feedback as to how I could be more clickbaity in my thumbnails, because, you know, half the problem is getting people to watch the video. But alas, let's talk about this. Can you change your type? I am asked this question every single week. People want to know my opinions about it, so here it is. First of all, I think it's important to understand in which way you are looking at typology. Everybody has different opinions about typology. Some are much more rigid on the structure, which you have the 4 functions in a specific order and they have a specific strength and there's no changing that. And then you have people who use more fluid systems in which your functions have less of a specific order and more of a preferential difference. So in order to truly explain my opinion on this, I must tell you where I lie on this spectrum of rigid to incredibly fluid. I'm kind of in the middle, but I'm much more on the end of the fluid. So the way that I view type is that you have preferences in your mind, and these preferences are built by habits used over your entire life. So from the beginning of your life, when you first start using your brain, to the time that you become an adult. Now, as you're watching this, or if you're a teen, hey, by the time you've hit this age, you have set into stone very specific habits within your mind. Those habits are what make up your cognitive personality, and what we talk about in the typology community, in the MBTI community, is your cognitive personality. Now, I do believe that because it's a preference, there are ways to get around it. I can give you a very good personal experience of what I mean by this. So, my entire life, I felt like I have the ability to have more control over my body than I thought I did. And some of the ways that I have taken control over my body is by learning how to write with my left hand. I am actually ambidextrous, though my left hand doesn't maybe have as great of writing neatness. It's not very neat. It's not great, but I can write with my left hand, and were my right hand to break, I would be able to function just fine in life using my left hand. I taught myself to be left-handed. What's another way that I've used control over my body to change things that seem like they should be set in stone? Well, I've also taught myself a different way to smile. When I was younger, my smile used to be much more like I really just went like that. But I have learned to tighten the muscles on the inside of my cheek and have a more evenly spread, wider smile. I mean, the main reason I did that is because I thought it looked better than my, smile. You guys tell me what you think looks better. So these are just 2 examples of the way that I have changed my physical body in a way that seems impossible for many. Many don't believe that you can change these kind of attributes about yourself. The way you smile is the way you smile. The way you write is the way you write. But I have consciously, with effort, changed these things. There are other things that I'm working on consciously changing within the muscles on my face, but until I get good at them, I'm not going to point them out, because as of right now, I'm not very good at them, but I am consciously working on them. The way that your muscle moves, the way that your face is shaped, the way that you write, these are habits. These are habitual things that you have started from your childhood. Did you know that most children, until a certain age, are ambidextrous? They use both of their hands regularly. It is just through habit that we start to prefer one over the other. Some people maintain their ambidextrality. Is that even a word? It is now because I used it. Some people retain their ambidextriality. However, most people choose a preference of right-handed or left-handed. And as you know, statistically speaking, most people choose right-handed. Is that because they are actually right-handed? Is it a genetic thing? Or is it a preference thing? Is it because they're surrounded by a bunch of people who also prefer their right hand that they choose to be right-handed? There's a lot of debate over this. There's a lot of studies over this, and the conclusion is some of it is genetic, but also some of it is environmental. Same thing with smiling. You can have 3 people from the same family and they might have very similar genetics, but they might choose to smile really differently. There's this whole idea of otology within personality study, which really looks at the way that people move their faces while they speak. And that's a way that many people use to type, but I would say that that is not a very accurate way because I have proven alone that you can change the way that you smile and you can purposely put effort to change the way that you move your face. So if you can do that, why would you not be able to do the same thing with the way that you think? Cognitive functions are different ways of looking at the world. Cognitive functions are different ways of making decisions and using decisions based on logic or feelings or the real facts or the ideas connected to the facts. We're doing all of them all the time. Sometimes we're organizing ideas, sometimes we're organizing facts, sometimes we're using our own personal logic, sometimes we're using the logic of the group, sometimes we're using our own values, and sometimes we're using the values of the group. And now, yes, there are varying definitions of the cognitive functions. I am the kind of person who conglomerates them all in my mind, all the different systems, and I kind of have a little bit of all of them in my head because I don't believe that any one specific system that I have found at this time 100% accurately captures the human mind. I don't know if there ever will be. So I just take bits and pieces from each of the system, the overlapping information, and I try to use that and keep that as a way of recognizing people's types. These cognitive functions are changeable. These cognitive functions you can work at, like you can stretch a muscle, like you can choose to move one muscle over the other. Let's use another physical example. How many of you can move your pinky toe independent of the rest of your toes? Can you do it on both feet? Have you always been able to do that, or did you have to teach yourself to do that? My mom had a friend when she was in nursing school. This girl had an accident when she was younger, and she was bedridden for at least a year, I think, maybe half a year. During the time that she was bedridden, she had very limited mobility. And you know what she did with that time? She learned how to move each of her toes individually. If you want to try to tell me that your mind cannot be maneuvered the same way that your body can, then I say that you are trying to get rid of your personal responsibility for the way that your mind thinks. It is difficult, yes, I understand. It's not easy to change certain physical things or mental things that are going on. But the thing is, you do have more control than you think you do. You have the ability to change the way that you think. You have the ability to focus on different things, to try to work on different things. If you're an intuitive, for example, are you saying that you can't use the facts? Are you saying that you can't get better at using facts? Are you saying that you can't be better at being aware of your physical surroundings because you're an intuitive? No, that's an excuse and that's a lie. You absolutely can. It is possible. It's like stretching a muscle. It's like purposely focusing on a muscle and trying to move it independent of the other muscles. It's not easy all the time. It's not always going to be something that you learn overnight. It took me over a year to become ambidextrous, functionally ambidextrous. It took me over a year. It took me years to learn how to smile wide, and now this kind of smile is much more natural to me. I feel it when I'm talking to people. Myself naturally move to this rather than that snarly smile. It is possible to change your type. I'm not saying that you're going to change who you were as a kid. I'm not saying that you're going to change your core and most comfort zone, but I'm saying that you could. I'm saying that that potential exists, that you could change your type over time with work and with practice. I personally want to make myself no type over time. I want to be balanced between all my cognitive functions, but you can choose whatever you want. If you work on it, you can get better at it. Am I saying it's always going to be comfortable? Am I saying it's always going to be easy? No. But it is possible if you are, for example, an extroverted thinker, to become more of an extroverted feeler. It is possible, and people can do that. People have done that. Is it the commonplace thing? No. How common is changing your type? I don't know, because again, it all depends on how you look at typology, how you look at genetics, and how much you think of type being genetic and environmental and personal choices made over time. When I look back at my life, I can reflect and notice there are times when I purposefully chose to be in the intuitive realm over the physical realm. I can remember these times specifically when I was younger. These times when I was younger shaped my life. They shaped the way that I think now, and I have to work, in my opinion, to overcome the preferences that my mind chose. Some people want to say that your uniquenesses are what make your life important, and I say to a degree, yes, that is correct. Sure, it's good to be unique, but it's also good to be a well-rounded human. I don't know why you would lose your uniqueness by being more well-rounded with your cognitive functions. Are your cognitive functions and cognitive personality the only thing that define you? Are they the only thing that make you unique? And if that's the case, maybe you should take a good hard look at your life and see how you can make it unique if you think personality is the only thing that makes you unique. Or just recognize the things that you do that are unique. What I'm saying is I do believe it's possible to change your type, and I see it, and I have seen it. Am I saying you would go from an INTP to an INTJ? I don't know. Those are completely opposite in terms of cognitive function. Can you be more organized versus more chaotic? Of course. That I would see as more likely than a complete flip-flop of all of your cognitive functions, though I'm not saying it's impossible. It's not impossible, but what I would say is more likely for this example of INTP to INTJ is that what you're talking about is not completely changing your personality, but being more organized versus more chaotic. And that's absolutely something that's within your control, and that has nothing to do with cognitive typology. To be organized is to take control of your life. To be chaotic is to let loose the grip you have on your life. This isn't changing your cognitive function. It might change your representation of your type in a more ocean way. I think that if you want to know if you have changed your type, which is normally why people ask this question, right? They're not asking because they want to see if their neighbors have changed their type. They're asking, or you're asking, because you want to know if you've changed your type over time. If you want to know if you have changed your type over time, learn and understand the cognitive functions, learn and understand how you use them, be more self-aware of your mind and how your mind is functioning, and then compare and contrast all three of these elements. Once you have done that, you will be able to have your answer as to whether or not you have changed your type. There are people who believe you cannot change your type. It is rigid, it is stuck, it is there forever. I'll name one example. Frank James firmly believes that your type cannot change. He has said that multiple times. Do I think that he's wrong? No, because the way that he looks at personality, it can't change because he looks at it from a more rigid standpoint. Is there anything wrong with doing that? Absolutely not. But the way that I look at type is different than him. And my way of looking at type says, yes, you can change your type. And I've seen it and I believe it. With the system that he uses, I would say you have a set type because that system uses yourself over time, your trends over time, which is a rather rigid thing because honestly, guys, over my 26 years of life, I have things that I have done the entire 26 years of my life. I may be working to make them better. I may have maneuvered and changed them slightly, but overall in the system that he studies, which is the objective personality system, I don't believe my type changes. I don't believe it has changed. But in the way that I view typology, which is outside of the objective personality system, although I do talk about it a lot, I know, you guys know, I love the OP system, but I don't believe that it's the only correct system. And I don't believe it's fully 100% correct. But in the way that they look at it, which is from a more statistical and objective way, sure, maybe your type will stay the same. But I digress. My opinion is, with the way that I look at typology, with this more quasi-fluid system, yes, you can absolutely change your type just as much as you can take control over the muscles in your body and change them to give yourself a different appearance. I have changed the way that I smile, and my face is different now. My face moves differently. I smile differently. My lines on my face are going to change differently. The wrinkles that I get when I'm older, these things can change. But with that, what are your opinions? Do you think type can change? How do you view typology? Do you view typology more like me, or do you view it more like Frank James? What's your opinion on the ability of type to change? Do you hate what I said? Do you agree with what I said? Do you think I'm completely off base? Let me know down in the comments. I really appreciate you checking out this video and asking me this question and forcing me to share my opinion. I really want to be more opinionated and more honest with how I think, because I do view things very specifically, and I wish I could share that, and now I am. So go ahead, like and subscribe if you have not already. If you want to support me and my channel, go ahead and check out my Patreon. But either way, no matter what, thank you so much for sticking it all the way through to the end, and I really hope you have a beautiful, amazing, fantastic day. Bye-bye!